I think this is a challenge that many people still struggle with: how a man becomes emotionally distant and cold, not just occasionally or on a bad day, but all the time. It's like dealing with a pathologically apathetic psychopath or a person who simply has no room in their heart for any kind of empathy, a flesh and blood robot. Some might say they're born this way, but I believe those same people secretly suspect that it might have something to do with their upbringing, and they'd be right. A lot of our attitudes, behaviors, and characteristics are shaped during our childhood. The role our parents and environments play in nurturing and forming the foundational bedrock within our psyche is absolutely crucial for our adult lives. Someone with very affectionate and caring parents will likely show a lot of care, warmth, and empathy towards the people they're close to. Similarly, someone with distant, neglectful, and unaffectionate parents, or parents who rarely or almost never display a loving and considerate attitude towards their children from an early age, will end up showing a lack of compassion, generosity, and feeling towards others. It's not that they're born this way, they just incidentally get used to behaving this way. However, it's not just our childhood that can lead us to form a solid foundation of certain attitudes, behaviors, and characteristics. Major traumatic events can also play a vital role in reshaping or reorganizing someone's psychological blueprint. Even in adulthood, experiencing trauma often leads a person to develop what I call a counter tendency. In a specific circumstance where you encounter a traumatic event, you're more likely to develop a set of attitudes and behaviors that are completely opposed to anything closely related or associated with that event. For example, if you nearly drowned in the ocean, you're likely to try to avoid submerging yourself in a bathtub or getting near a slightly deep pool in the future. If you got significantly burned, you'll probably be extra cautious about anything easily flammable or discard anything associated with fire, like a match. This is part of our survival instincts and natural defense mechanism. Our intense emotional reactions during significant traumatic events will always be powerful enough to register a pre-encounter defensive response related to that specific circumstance. Similarly, if a man who invested a lot of care, warmth, and intimacy in someone or a group of people has that abruptly taken away or, worse yet, is betrayed, he's likely to develop a full-fledged response to distance himself from forming a very close bond with someone in the future. This can lead to the development of an avoidant attachment syndrome, where he feels uncomfortable getting too close or being too intimate with someone. He abruptly withdraws and disengages from expressing his feelings or showing any form of empathy. Consider this a bit like a necessary evil to contain some underlying insecurities and to shield oneself from those traumatic consequences. Examples of this could be a man who had a very close relationship with his parents, spent a tremendously significant amount of time with them, but it was abruptly taken away in a horrific accident. Or a man who developed an seemingly unbreakable bond of association or comradeship with someone, but it was dramatically shattered due to underlying envy or jealousy that manifested in a backstabbing. And a man who genuinely and wholeheartedly loved a woman for a long time with all his trust and faith, but she betrayed his devotion in a completely inexplicable way. However, having said all this, not all men will certainly become emotionally distant due to these traumas. Some men may be consumed by anger and vengeful pursuits, condemning everything and everyone involved in their misfortunes. In other words, becoming the embodiment of a victim mentality. Despite a cold-hearted man having an apparently disdainful or, better put, putrid attitude towards affection and intimacy, deep down, he truly desires to experience it sincerely and wholeheartedly. He may not vividly and confidently admit it, but it's something that always lingers at the back of his mind, beneath that eternally stoic, severe, and inactive exterior. He's a man still healing his wounds and seeking answers. Especially as human beings, we can't completely betray our nature to satisfy our social needs for love and belonging. Even infants who can't make heads or tails of what they feel need a sufficient amount of physical touch and affection, or else they would perish. However, it's going to take a long time, convincing, maturity, and most importantly, answers to the unresolved personal questions that linger for him to embrace that part of his humanity once again. Because, as we all know, pain is the greatest teacher of all. injuries, being broke, hunger, and broken hearts. You, gentlemen, know it all too well. And the greater the pain, the clearer the urgent memories, the stronger the determination.